Well, welcome everyone to the special council meeting of Wyndham City Council this Tuesday, the 24th of October 2017. In the spirit of reconciliation, before we begin this meeting, I acknowledge the peoples of the Kulin Nation as the traditional owners of the land on which Wyndham is being built. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present. Please stand, councillors and staff. We pray for guidance in the council's decision making to achieve the best outcome for the people of Wyndham. Thank you. Please be seated. I'd like to welcome, there are no members of the press, there is no one in the gallery. So I therefore welcome councillors and council officers to this special council meeting tonight. Some of you may have seen the notices in the foyer. I'm going to go through this anyway. For those of you who didn't, I would like to make you aware of the following for everyone. We should be aware that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the internet. The recording will be archived and made available on Council's website. Whilst all care has been taken to ensure that your privacy is maintained, please be aware that your presence may be recorded. Do we have any apologies or requests for leave, Madam Mayor? CEO.
Through you, Mr Mayor, no. The only one I will know, she is Councillor Intaj Khan, who is on a leave of absence due to suspension from council.
No, he's back.
Oh, sorry, he is back, and in fact he is an apology. Thank you.
Yes, that's right.
Noting he has just returned from a leave of absence.
He did return about the middle of last week. Yes, thank you. Councillors, any declaration by you of disclosure of conflicts or of interest, conflicting personal interest in any item on the agenda? No. Oh, I need a mover in a second for the apology. Could I have a mover for that? Councillor McElhaney. A seconder, Councillor Gibbons. Any discussion on the apology? If not, I shall put the motion. All those in favour? Against? It's carried. Okay. So I apologise for missing that out. So are there any conflicts? If not, I shall move on to item 4, which is officers' reports. And the reason for us to be here tonight, it's obviously to look at 4.1, the annual report for 2016-2017, with a recommendation on page 3 of the report. Do we have a mover? Councillor Maynard. And do we have a seconder? Councillor Hooper. Thank you. Councillors, any discussion on this item? Councillor Maynard.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, I know that, I'm thinking that there are a number of councillors who may wish to speak on certain items in the annual plan, but I'll touch on a couple tonight. First one is I'd just like to highlight in the report the Churnside Park Hub redevelopment, an iconic development within the City of Wyndham, which commenced in 2016 and will be completed in early 2018. It's currently home to the Werribee Football Club, North Melbourne Football Club, or will be the North Melbourne Football Club Huddle program, and the Werribee Cricket Club, with a very strong emphasis, Mr Mayor, on community involvement or use of this facility. Another item I'd like to touch base on also is the Wyndham Sports Strategy, which commenced development during the 16-17 financial year, with an enormous amount of work undertaken by the Sport and Recreation team, and in particular Council Officer Sarah Satima, who undertook an extensive amount of work to ensure the best outcome for residents in sports provision going forward in this strategy. Whilst the strategy does project some 27 years in advance, it will be revised every 5 years, and I have on a number of occasions just raised the amount of potential spend within Wyndham, which is expected to be around the vicinity of $970 million, with an actual projected spend of council of $420 million. Another thing I'd like to highlight is the OSAR package that's mentioned in the annual plan, and we note from previous announcement the Victorian Government has made one of the biggest investments ever for outer suburban roads to cater for the rapid growth in Melbourne, which includes the 1.8 billion program of funding road upgrades and maintenance costs in the west. Of that 1.8 billion, $600 million is for maintenance. And there are a number of roads in the municipality which we have mentioned previously: Derrimut Road in Tarneit, Doherty's Road in Laverton North, Doherty's Road in Truganina, Duncan's Road and Princess Freeway interchange in Werribee and Werribee South, Dunnings Road and Palmers Road corridor Point Cook, Leakes Road in Truganina, Palmers Road in Truganina, and the Princess Freeway and Forsyth Road interchange at Hoppers Crossing. I think over the last number of years, Mr Mayor, and I'll close on this, there's been a substantial amount of work done by council officers and council laws to advocate for these outcomes, and I commend the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Maynard. Councillors, any other discussion? If there's no further discussion, Councillor McElwain.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Just got in time.
Yes. I'd just like to mention the annual report for 16-17 is a really important report of this council. It's an opportunity to showcase not only the financials, but everything that we've done as a council during the year. There's been many things that we've done and opportunities to build libraries, community centres, sports fields and key infrastructure. We have 5.1% growth in this council, between 13 to 15,000 people moving in, which equates to 215 every week moving in, 87 babies. That places absolute huge implications and challenges on this council. We are a unique council, and that's one of the reasons why I stood for this council. And we're probably one of the closest of any tier of government that works with the community. Particularly when you've got 87 babies, you've got infrastructure and kinder enrolment challenges. You've got the Churnside Park redevelopment that we've put in $5 million. You've got road infrastructure. You've got Councillor Maynard, who's mentioned the OSAR package, which is the Outer Suburban Arterial Roads package, and it would be remiss of me to not mention the previous council on Get Wyndham Moving program. That program and advocacy ultimately saw this council get $1.8 million, consisting of 1.2 million of roads and 600 million of maintenance. So we must thank them. Our result this year after DCs and non-recurrent grants is $25 million. We're in a good liquidity situation. However, once we take out our restricted funds that we can use, it's at 150.5%. And we need to watch our obligations on while we build lots of assets, it's really important that we have asset renewal, which is fairly low at this point, but in the future we really need to consider that in the future. So there's lots we could talk about, but it's a document that's worth reading, and I look forward to the next 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McElwain. Councillors, any other discussion? There's no other discussion. Yes.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think adequately summed up by Councillor Maynard and Councillor McElwain, but I think the point, particularly in relation to infrastructure and the challenges that we face over the coming years, I think one of the things that Wyndham City Council should also be proud of in relation to this report is us continuing to pitch and indeed lead the way in relation to the fair go rate framework that the Victorian Government currently holds, also known as rate capping in layman's terms. And indeed, I think it's fantastic to see our council taking a very bold position on essentially advocating for a growth rate in relation to rate capping. That is to ensure that we deal with the capacity constraints that Councillor McElwain has outlined, particularly when it comes to service delivery such as kindergartens. When we have situations where there may be shortfalls in the future, we have to make sure that we're doing everything we reasonably can, not only to argue the case in relation to the role of the states to invest in the municipality, but for also us to be able to deliver our fair share of funding in this space. I think the other thing that I wanted to highlight is also our continued position in relation to trying, albeit very bravely, to encourage Vargo to consider the non-monetary contributions and the way in which they are laid out in council budgets. I think that is important to consider the context of the grossly inflated surpluses that the public may believe that we have, as opposed to the real surpluses that this council has. And I think that is one of the other key hallmarks of some of the work done by councillors in the advocacy space to highlight these issues, in and above the work that we obviously do in relation to advocating for the varied projects that both Councillor McAloney and Councillor Maynard outlined. So this is a fantastic report. Well done to staff. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Gilligan. Any other comments, councillors? Discussion? If not, Councillor Gibbons. Okay, I'll get it right eventually.
Well, it's quite good. I think that the staff who prepared the report need to be commended. I think it's really good. Just a bit of a snapshot of where we are currently, and I think that Werribee's really moved. Wyndham has really moved on in the last 12 months. I'm certainly very proud of where we are. There's been a lot of challenges that we've addressed, and a lot of challenges that we'll continue to address. And the current status of the Wyndham Council is looking pretty healthy. We've got a lot of work to do. And I think if we keep our heads down, our backsides up, and keep pushing, we'll be a lot better. We'll do a lot better. We're one of the leading councils in Australia. We should not forget that. And we're doing some really good work. And I'm very pleased to be a part of it.
Thank you, Councillor Gibbons. Well said. Councillor Hooper.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To back up what my colleague, Councillor Gibbons, just said then, we won during the year the National Award for Excellence in Local Government at the federal level, and I think that needs to be acknowledged, that the staff and the commitment of the staff, the CEO and us councillors to drive an organisation that is thriving and succeeding for the community at large is without a doubt the heartbeat and soul of what we do. And I think everyone needs to be congratulated, including the community, for putting their faith in us as councillors to trust the decisions that we're going to make on their behalf is a big step. And I think we all need to say thank you, well done, and we are absolutely awesome as a city. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Fair call. Councillors, any other discussion? Okay, I will try again. If there's no further discussion, you want to write a reply, Councillor Maynard? Is that why you're looking at me like that?
There's been no one spoken against it.
Okay. Councillors, if there's no further discussion, then I shall put the motion. All those in favour? Against? It's carried. Thank you, councillors. Very important document, and I do concur with Councillor Gibbons' comments about how we're perceived in local government. We've come an awfully long way, and we seem to be the first port of call on a whole range of areas, which is great. So I shall close the meeting at 7:14. Thank you.